What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of We Lift Big. Now, I am especially excited to talk about today's topic because the title itself is very intriguing. Alcohol and being afraid. I'm going to break into both, and as always, I hope that you are having a beautiful week and that this podcast, as well as all my other podcasts, infuse your life with a little bit of joy and knowledge and all of that good stuff. So anyways, let's talk about alcohol because the holidays are coming, and I know for myself, this is when I tend to drink a little bit more than I usually do. And I'm not the biggest drinker in general. It got me thinking, once it comes to the holidays, that's where people tend to really struggle with making good choices and with drinking a little bit more just because there's more parties to go to. We all want to have a good time. You got to live a little bit. So with all that said, is there a way to best negate the effects of drinking when it comes to exercise and to our diets? Here is the info. So, alcohol is prioritized by the body in terms of being metabolized. And so when you're drinking, your body is making it a priority to metabolize that alcohol first before it metabolizes all of the other things you are eating or may have eaten that day. And this specifically is where we run into issues. Alcohol itself does not necessarily cause weight gain. Of course, the surplus in calories that alcohol creates, so you have 3 or 4 drinks, that can be as much as an additional 500 calories on your day, just gone. But the real thing that can create fat gain is that your body is always going to prioritize breaking down that alcohol first, because by the body, alcohol is considered a toxin. And what that means is that for everything else that you've eaten in the day, your body is now kind of putting all those things on hold while it tries to get the alcohol through and out of your system. Now, if you have eaten a good amount of fats in a day that you are drinking, fats are easily stored, and carbs, it takes the body a little bit longer to break the carbs down, transform them into fats, and therefore have them be stored by the body. And so the reason that I bring both fats and carbs up is the best way that I have learned to negate a day of drinking. So if I know that I'm going to be going out with the girls, or I am attending a holiday party or a Friendsgiving or all of the beautiful holiday parties that take place and birthdays and all of that good stuff, the way that I kind of prep myself when I know I'm like, yeah, I want to have a drink or two, I want to celebrate, then what I do is I keep my diet higher complex carbs and I keep my fats a little bit lower. Always hit your protein goals. And protein goals, generally you want to eat about a pound. For every pound of your body, you want to have about 1 gram of protein. So that's how I navigate a day of drinking. If I know I'm going to have a couple cocktails or a glass of wine or so, I again keep my carbs complex, I hit my protein goals, and I keep my fats a little bit lower. So I want to talk about being afraid. And so I just watched this beautiful TED Talk. I'm going to put the link down below, but the man who is speaking talks about this thing called lizard brain. And the question he poses to the audience is, how do you kill the lizard? And what he's really asking is, how do you kill fear? Do we want to kill fear? So what is fear in general? Like, what is fear? Fear is a message to the body. Plain and simple. When you are afraid, your body is trying to tell you something. And our natural response to fear, fight, flight, deflect, freeze, all of those things. Those are very natural elements of fear. The lizard brain, he coins it, or the part of our brain that deals with fear and how we respond to fear, always wants to keep us safe. And so again, fight, flight, freeze, deflect is how our brains tell us to react in situations where we are afraid. And it served us very well back in the day, 10, 20, 100,000 years ago, when saber-toothed tigers were trying to eat us up, It was good to be afraid back then. And honestly, it's good to be afraid now. And here's why. You don't kill the lizard. There's the answer. The lizard does not die. You live with fear your entire life. How do we live with fear? We acknowledge that fear is here and is going nowhere. So again, you do not kill the lizard. The lizard is here to stay. You need it to survive. If you weren't afraid of anything, that could offer a lot of issues. And so it's good to be afraid. It's very good to be afraid of things and circumstances. But here's the thing. We need to acknowledge that we are capable and worthy of movement within fear. Which do you want to be stronger on a daily basis? Because there are times where we can very arguably be afraid and respond to fear the way that fear intends us to respond to. There are circumstances in life in which that is the case, but we generally, and I cannot speak for everyone, but here in the US, in Northern California, aside from the fires and coronavirus and obviously lots of dangers that are in life, we are generally much safer than we were 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago. We are generally much safer. And so, how do we work with fear? Because fear in the modern day in life can really start to impact opportunities and impact our dreams and impact our relationships, because when we are responding and giving power to fear all the time, we're not having those hard conversations with people that we love and care about. We are not asking for those job promotions. We are not going out on those fun nights with friends, and it's impacting our lives. Fear impacts our lives. It does a lot of harm if we just always respond to fear or feel like we need to kill fear. And fear can exist if we're going to be brave and achieve all these things. No. Fear is here. It is going nowhere. And you need to acknowledge that you are both worthy and capable of movement within fear. Just because you are afraid does not mean that you need to fly, fight, freeze, or defect. So then how do we train our bodies? So now that we have established that we are capable of movement through fear, how do we train our bodies and our brains to move through fear? Honestly, one of the best ways that I have learned how to do this is in exercise, because exercise is not comfortable. It is sweaty. It can be painful in a good way, in a healthy way. And there are days where you just really struggle to push through a workout and it sucks and you don't want to be there and you're doing things that are really hard. And what better way to train ourselves to do things while we are uncomfortable? What better way to train movement within fear? On the physical level, when it comes to the mental level, the emotional level, you tackle fear by doing the things that you are most afraid to do. Again, fear is a signal. It is telling us something. And so if you are afraid to have a conversation with a loved one about something that is very scary and vulnerable to you, the fear is telling you that that is a very important conversation that needs to be had. And in order to get better at having hard conversations, you need to have hard conversations. You just got to put yourself out there safely, of course, in the best way possible, but also It's okay to be scared. That's another thing. It is okay to be afraid. You don't kill the lizard. You work with fear. It is so important. And with that, I love you guys so much. Now, just as an update, I am planning to post another meditation mindset meditation next week for next week's podcast. I'll be doing a lot of traveling these next 2 weeks, and so my goal is to stay on schedule, and I'll have that meditation for y'all next week. And in the meantime, enjoy this beautifulness. I hope that it has added a little bit of light and inspiration into your day. And with that, I will talk to you guys next week. Peace.